We're live. It is John Gibbons with Andy Heaton. We're just outside our offices on the pier head in Liverpool, reacting to this fast developing story, Andy, about Jordan Henderson going out to Saudi. We've just done a couple of audio reaction shows. I did one with Dominic King, who's a journalist who's obviously close to Jordan Henderson, wrote his autobiography with him, and has been across this story, as you can imagine. We did our own reaction down there as well, and I'll come up and talk to you. But even in that time, there's stuff sort of coming. Fabinho's just put out there, Liverpool are looking for 10 million, which feels to me low in the circumstances that we're in now. But it's one that's gone from like 0 to 100 in 60 seconds.
Oh, it's not done any good for my heartburn, this, John. Or the scheduling.
Well, someone think of the schedule.
You know what I mean? I mean, literally.
Paco's on holiday.
Oh, no. It's all a bit mad, because the rumour's been floating around all week, and I'm sure there's been said on other shows, and you're kind of like, yeah, really, and then obviously they've come back with a solid offer.
Yeah.
And it's turned his head. I mean, you say the 10 million, I'm on a slightly different page with that, because the way I look at it with Liverpool, he's 33 years old, and they'd be looking at getting, I presume, between 200 and 250 grand a week off the books as well. So then there's the value in that. So the whole thing's fascinating. I'll be honest with you, I don't actually. I'd still be surprised if he went.
Oh, well, are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's more twists in this left.
Possibly. I mean, look, there's two different things here. You wonder, there's a couple of different things at play. You wonder whether he's gone into Siegen either at the end of last season or at the beginning of this season. And they've had the conversation about minutes, and maybe it hasn't gone the way it's gone. And then he's gone away, done all his boxing, got himself toned, come back in, and, feels that his nose being pushed out of joints a little bit. Or maybe he's trying to make a point. Well, look, use me or lose me kind of thing. Or it could purely be, from a financial point of view, an offer that he can't turn down. But then the other side of that for me is his legacy as a player, and he doesn't strike me as a player who doesn't care about his legacy.
Yeah, he's a big thinker, isn't he?
Do you know what I mean? And there are questions around, because he's been a massive ally around rainbow laces and LGBTQ plus and one thing and the other. And I won't have it that won't also be in his mind as well, with the obvious implications around. I don't want to go into the detail on it.
Yeah.
The Saudi League and the current discussion around the laws in that country, and whether that will have been his decision making, or whether the financial pull so big that I don't know. It's a minefield, or it could be my other theory. He's posturing a little bit.
There is a lot for him to consider if he wants to go. A few people have said in the comments, "What about Fabinho?" I can't even get my head around the Fabinho stuff. I mean, this one was sort of last night, and then while we were recording the audio show, if you listen to our audio reaction show, you'll hear about 20 minutes in, like Harriet showed me a photo with the Fabinho news, talk of him going for 40. I mean, my thing about all of this is that Liverpool have been at the best, where everything's been well planned, and like you've looked at the summers and we've seen other clubs like Man United flailing around, offer for one player, then offer for another who's completely different. And when we were at our best and we were winning stuff, you felt like we were getting our business done early. Everything was sort of planned out. They always said, the best deals, 12 months in advance. We signed Keita and put it off for a year, and
that worked out well, didn't it?
Well, I mean, he was the wrong player, but I'm talking off sort of forward planning.
Yeah.
Whereas this summer just feels like a bit of a sort of free for all, and we lost quite a lot of midfielders on a free, and then if Henderson's maybe going for 10 million, if they're looking at Fabinho as well, the Thiago stuff, we could end up being like 8 out, 7 in, which is. I mean, it's a mad way to run a top.
See, I can't see both Henderson and Fabinho going. I think it may very well be one or the other, and this might even be a case of. I mean, I'm guessing this is absolute speculation, but this might actually be a way of Liverpool saying to Jordan, "Well, look, we're willing to let him go."
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. I can't see a world in which they both go. But I disagree with you again. I think Liverpool have got the business that they wanted to do done early. The major ones too. They got McAllister in. Yeah. Szoboszlai through. I hope I said that right, please.
I thought you did it well, but what do I know?
Yeah, and then we're on to phase B now with the outs, and you wonder whether there's like a second list where if we want Lavia, for instance, then we need to lessen the load on the wage bill or whatever. I actually think Liverpool have done better than most clubs this transfer when they were getting it done early. And then also, let's be honest as well, you can only control what you can control. This whole thing with the Saudi League has just come from nowhere, and it's just lashed a grenade into the middle of everything, and you can't control those things.
That's fair. If there's a chance as well, they're seeing it as opportunity, aren't they? They're seeing it as an opportunity to get big wages off the books. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk over Henderson's contract. Ever since he signed it, really, there was some people who were comfortable with it, you know, when he did it. There was some people, you know, I'm always happy when a new player signs up and I don't really worry too much about the financial implications. But, you know, you look at it now and it is, you know, where he is now for a 33-year-old, it's big money for him on the next 2 years if he's likely to sort of play.
And does he get this opportunity again? For that kind of money.
No, I'm talking about from Liverpool's point of view. Really now, you know, Liverpool might be seeing it as an opportunity to, okay, well, we know there's a bit of a rebuild, you know, we've started it, but, you know, instead of doing this sort of over a couple of years and phase people out, there's opportunities to do it all there now, you know, and getting another player that we thought might be a little bit sort of out of reach. Maybe there is that possibility. It's a gamble. I think it's a gamble to lose, you know, so many players who you know you're going to sort of get from more or less, and you know the personalities, and it's a lot of upheaval. It's a lot of change. But if they think, you know, in the long term it's going to lead us to a better position, they might see it as an opportunity.
Do you not think?
I'm just wondering why they seem so amenable to it.
No, I understand that. And listen, if we're in a world where Fabinho and Henderson both go, I can't see Liverpool not addressing that.
Yeah.
My worry is that you go throw the baby out the bathwater in so much as the last season when they didn't do anything, they're now overcorrecting.
Well, that's the irony, isn't it? It's the last year we were told that, oh, you know, we don't need midfielders, and then to go from that to, you know, 6 out, you know, 5 in, you know, does feel like. I mean, again, I go around to it. It's not pointing to a well-run football club. You know, even if okay, you're reacting to mistakes, you know, maybe that's the right thing, but you know, it still doesn't feel like great planning.
No, I suppose the only fair thing to do is judge at the end of the window.
Yeah.
And that isn't me trying to be mealy-mouthed or brush it off. We literally don't know, and this is developed. I mean, it's probably totally changed by the time this live finishes. It's probably totally changed again, but you just don't know. What I will say is that, you know, it looks like Liverpool have made the decision. It's mad the way Liverpool build in phases, like so they've reconstructed the forward line over the space of 18 months. Now it looks like it's project midfield. And then it's mad, but maybe it resets what it's needed. And maybe look, Jordan Henderson's won everything he can do as captain of Liverpool Football Club, and if this is going to be his send-off, then you know, I hope he gets a send-off that he deserves. Forget about where he's going. And maybe it suits both parties in so much as the saves having an awkward conversation in 12 months' time or in 24 months' time when it's 4 years up, and maybe the thought process is, you know, it will unhinder other players or pressure on the squad if he did take this option up. I don't know. I'm speculating, but I would imagine that if Jordan Henderson's going into the season though he's going to play every game, we're not having this conversation right now.
Yeah, I think that is the thing, and I think he's looking at it, you know, in terms of Jordan, he's looking at it from a point of view of, well, you know, we just done, as I say, an audio reaction show, and I'm saying, well, how's he going to feel if he sees Liverpool lifting a trophy next season and he's in his house in Saudi Arabia? But he might sit here and say, well, I wouldn't feel great sat on the bench either.
No.
And we can all talk about rotation and bodies, and we're going to need everyone with all these competitions, but I think the top players, or the people who see themselves as the top players or have been the top players, you know, wherever you see Jordan now, he's thinking, well, yeah, rotation's all well and good, but who's starting Man United though? Yeah. Who's starting if we get to the League Cup final? Is that me, or is that someone else? Or am I starting these games where you sort of resting them? So although everyone's going to get minutes, I think if
what minutes am I getting?
What minutes am I getting is important, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, listen, all players have egos, and especially the top players, and Jordan has been a top player. I mean, to quote the great Kurt Cobain, it's not Kurt Cobain, I'm bastardised the quote there. Who was it who said it's better to burn out and fade away? It was Kurt Cobain on a suicide note, but that's a different story.
Well, I mean, it is really.
But there is an element of, do I want to fade into the background at Liverpool over the course of the years, or go out going, right, I'm done, won it all, new start.
Yeah. I've
thrown you there with the Kurt Cobain thing. I'm like, sorry, mate.
To be honest, the whole thing's thrown me, as I say, and there's the Fabinho stuff that's sort of live as well. We're going to be sort of across everything best we can. You know, we were texting late last night, weren't we, Andy, saying like, well, you know, all of us, what are we going to do about this Henderson stuff? We put all this stuff together. There's the Fabinho, you know, thing out there as well, and it just, you know. It just feels a little bit more chaos than what we're used to in sort of transfer windows. Like I said, I mean, we've had windows where we don't do anything, and there's been far too many of them. let's be honest, or ones where they sort of do the business early, then they say, that's it, that's done. Jürgen talked about, Perry for his fault, he talked about having they go to Germany on Saturday.
Yes, they do.
He talked about having the squad there, more or less, that he wants to work with and sorts of things like that. That's his week, isn't it? It's his most important week. Well, it might even be a week and a half. I'm not sure when they're coming back. They go out to Singapore 2 weeks Friday, I think it is. So whether they sort of come back in between for a couple of days, I'm not sure. But they're out in Germany anyway for a week and a bit at least. And he'll want the basis of his squad there. He'll want, the idea of this is a lot of the lads who I'm going to be working with, and the idea that there's some there who are, still, we were talking about maybe moving on, isn't sort of great. It's they want to be concentrating on the karaoke and all that, in terms of squad building. You don't want lads going, what's going on with this move or that move. I'm sure the Saudi money generally is sort of being talked about and things like that. But I think, I'm interested to know what the manager's thoughts on this. The fact that it is fast moving might be like what the club wants as well. Thinking, listen, we'd rather you to stay, but if you're going, you need
to go.
You need to go.
Yeah, I mean, he says that every year about his squad, doesn't he, anyway? But no, I think there is an element of that.
And there's always international games and stuff like that, and people coming back at different times.
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. If it's going to happen, just rip the plaster off now. There's no point procrastinating over it. Because, especially when it's such an influential figure, it's not like it's some kid who you might take to Germany and then send on loan when he comes back. It's about the captain of the club, the leader of the club. And it doesn't do anyone any favours. I do wonder, I was leaning down that train of thought when listening to you then, whether the club maybe have kind of welcomed the approach, maybe?
It's possible, it is possible. The fact that it's, as I say, Liverpool come out and said 10 million, it is suggested that maybe they're looking at it and thinking it's a lot of money for this lad over the next sort of 2 years. But I just think if that was the case, I still think it must have caught them a little bit by surprise with the other stuff that they've done. In terms of like letting Milner go. So I know there was an offer there, but I think they'd like a little bit more continuity on the other side. If Henderson and maybe Fabinho were going to go.
Well, I mean, all right, I'll ask you the 40 million or the 10 million pound question depends. If you're Jürgen Klopp and the club have gone, right, okay, we've got 2 offers, but you can only take one of them. 10 million for Jordan.
Yeah.
And it's irrespective of how much you then get to spend, by the way.
Yeah.
Or Fabinho to.
I would sell Fabinho just because it's more money, and just so because that then gets out to the pot, and we can get another midfielder in. I think of the level of someone like Casido, who's not made any decisions yet, who's sort of looking around. I think. I mean, let's remember as well, this is an opening offer of 40 million. You might be able to get them to stretch that a little bit more. And so I think the Fabinho money, I think if you're going to lose someone, you need to replace them. And so you lose them with the money that will allow you. I'm not sure. I'm sort of less sure about Fabinho's recovery than I am about Henderson's, in a funny sort of way, really, because Fabinho's sort of a younger man, so it's a real sort of a bit more. His drop-off's been more stark, I think. Whereas Henderson, I can see a way that on and off the pitch where he still contributes next season. Just 10 million is enough money for me to be sort of even counting it. Whereas look at 40 for Fabinho, who's.
You would imagine he's on a similar wage to Henderson as well.
Yeah, it won't be far off. Yeah, that's what I'd be looking to do, because I think it's more of a game changer in terms of what you're able then to go out and get. No, what do you think?
I just think the age bracket, the age factor. I just think.
Well, the man says that here. I'd sell Henderson for being was young, and it's fair enough. Do you know what I mean? I do sort of get it. And as I say, if the fees were a lot closer, then obviously it'd be a different decision.
Where are you with? How much of an influence do you reckon Steven Gerrard's had on this?
Well, I just said that on the audio reaction show, and do listen to the audio reaction show. I promise you it's still in date, reacting stuff how it's going. But I said in that audio reaction show that ironically, the best person to advise him right now would be Steven Gerrard. But the problem is that he's in his ear trying to sort of get him out there. And so if Gerrard hadn't taken that job, I would be advising Jordan to speak to him about, the idea of, because he went to sort of LA Galaxy and that move didn't work out for a variety of reasons. But I think if he'd have had his time again, he'd have stayed at Liverpool, he'd have finished his career at Liverpool and probably would have done more.
More breaking news, John.
Oh, what's happened now? Darwin's got the number 9 jersey. Oh, right. So the Liverpool have chosen a day to put that out. So if you or one of your kids has got Darwin 27, then I presume Darwin's sorting it, like Diaz did, didn't he? So he's gonna have to.
Well, Sadio Mane didn't last year when I got caught out.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So Manny didn't box anyone?
Well, no, when he left, just went in, bought the shirt. Because previously when they've sold someone,
right, okay,
the club have got, oh, sorry, we'll box it off.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Well, Luis Diaz got numbers and so everyone else. If you're one of your kids has got a Darwin at 27, I mean, he can keep it if you want to. Collector's item now, but Darwin's going to be number 9. Showing a bit of confidence. He's backing himself second season as he's learned a bit of English.
I heard that, yeah. Holiday's over. No, boys, it's right. Angry little Darwin. And
there are these players who have either just come in and or came in sort of within the last 12 to 18 months. So you forget the likes of like Gapco, he's only been here 6 months, Darwin 12 months. Even Luis Diaz is a new player really, he's coming in the last 18.
Well, he missed 6 months last year.
Yeah, exactly, so he's been here no time at all. These are the new Liverpool, and maybe that's what Klopp's looking at. He's thinking, I'm thinking about my next team, I've got 3 years here. You know, we know that it's sort of 3 years. I want to build my next team here, and letting lads like Jordan and Fabinho go a little bit ahead of time might be rushing things sort of slightly, but you know, there's all these other players who are ready to be sort of part of my new team, so maybe they're just getting on with it slightly quicker than what we thought.
One thing I will say, and I hate to give the man credit, Ferguson was great at this.
I think he did it in a slightly more controlled way, though. You know, I don't think he had the summer where he just went. Psh.
Well, I mean, this is before the dawn of social media and Middle Eastern wealth funds and all that stuff.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and he didn't have the Saudis to worry about.
You know what I mean? Throwing boots and pizza and Keane. I mean, was it really that controlled?
I mean, they all fell out over horse sperm, didn't they?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, don't Google that. Don't Google that. But no, remember he had to go all the way to when Schmeichel said he was packing in, and then Cantonari went all the way over to convince the pair of them not to retire.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, he got Scholes back, didn't he? 38 or something.
But years before Cantonari retired, he said he'd had enough.
Yeah.
And then when it might have been Schmeichel, it was one of the other. We actually went to the house where they were staying in France and went, look, come on. So it was all going on. We just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right, okay. We're going to leave it there because stuff's breaking. There'll be more shows throughout the day, but I would encourage any auto subscribers to check out our reaction show this morning. It was me, Ian Ryan, Josh Sexton, Harry Appiah. All of them really good, all of them worth listening to with their honest opinions on the Jordan situation. We got into obviously all the moral stuff, the footballing stuff, and from a football club review as well. That was really good. And as I say, Dominic King this morning, I spoke to bright and early. He was fantastic. He's written a really good piece for the Mail. There's no journalist in the country really who's closer to Jordan than Dom, so he had a really good insight in terms of what he might be thinking at the moment and how this is likely to progress. And with Andy, I think there's a few more twists and turns, not least the fact that they seem to be after other Liverpool players as well. But we'll just keep following it, and nowhere better to follow it than the Anfield Wrap. So make sure you download the app, make sure you subscribe, join on YouTube if you prefer that method as well. And let's see what the next couple of days brings. Fucking hell.
Hang on, my phone's going.